truth, you know? I want truth. I don't want anything that is saccharine coated. Like, don't give me it. Don't give me like, you know, do you want the good news or the bad news? I just want the news. There is no good or bad with that. You don't have to treat me in kid gloves. I would rather the truth than a half truth, because to me, a half truth is still a full lie. And this is where we've got to be open to accept the full truth. We've got to be open to look at ourselves and see that truth as well. Where are we hiding behind excuses? Where are we, you know, still living in the same stories? Where are we blaming somebody else for us not going out and living the life that we need to or we want to? Because the thing is, we can only get clarity when we are being clear with other people, clear with ourselves, and when we are in complete transparency. So this Gemini moon is talking about choices and changes and chances. So we have to make the choice. Do we stay in this revolving door, or do we go out and venture, you know, and see where we're going? Do we make the changes? Because if nothing changes, then nothing changes. And do we take the chances? Because when we are lying on our deathbed, we will only regret the chances we didn't take. Now, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were on about the one that got away, you know, and they were telling me about this relationship with this guy and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, they were the one that got away. And I said, but why didn't you pursue it? Well, it was blah, and now it's too late. And it was like, no, you know, when I look at my life, I see that every relationship or every stage I've been in with it, I have grown from it. So there is no one that got away, you know, there isn't, because that isn't how life works. If something ends when it ends, that's because that lesson has been learned, or it should have been learned. And then we move on and we evolve. So if we're sitting pining for somebody from the past, or pining for a time in the past, you know, we're not actually allowing our future to unfold and ourself to unfold and bloom with it. Does that make sense? So this is what we've got to do. You know, we've got to take the chances, see where they will lead us. It might not be the desired destination, but at least we will learn something along the way. Now, what they said to me as well, this is where we've got to let almost like the spiritual part of our mind guide us, and then allow the logical part of our mind to make the plan. And what they're saying is that at this moment in time, there are a lot of us that are getting that mixed up. So we're trying to get our logical mind to guide us and then trusting on our spiritual mind to make it happen. But what they're saying here is we've got to give our spiritual mind, let that come in. That is where the limits aren't. That is where it's limitless. And then we make a plan on how to get there. So this is like, you know, when I find out where I need to go, I get it. Something will come. There's been a few conversations this week and I'm like, I'm getting warmer. I'm getting warmer. So I do feel it somewhere hot. But it hasn't dropped in yet. When it drops in, then what I will have to do is I'll have to go on the internet. I'll have to book a flight and everything. So I will use my logical mind then. And this is where the Gemini is coming in, you know, using the two sides of us. But I cannot use my logical mind to go, right, okay, I need to go there because that I feel that will be the best place for me. That's not going to work. You know, if I'm going, all right, okay, well, the rents are cheaper there, or blah, 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 or using any other different way, that is not going to work for me. So it's got to be, let my spiritual mind let it drop in, and then let my logical mind do the execution of how to get there. So another thing that it's asking us to look at is, what are our core values? Now, this was something that we worked in within the alchemy of the soul, and it's very, very different to what we think we are, what we think they are. But when we're looking at our 5 core values, we then need to look at, are we working with them? Because when we get our core values, it's there's 5 of them, and this gives us whatever we're doing, we tick off. Does it have this? Does it have that? Does it have that? Does it have that? Does it have that? Yes, right, I'm going for it. If it doesn't have all of them, then it is not somewhere or something that we should pursue, because this will take us out of integrity. And we need to look at the integrity that we're in as well, this alignment, this walking and this talking and walking our talk. Is it in alignment with who we are on a soul level as well? So wherever it is you're wanting to go, the questions that are coming up with this is, what is it you want and why is it you want that? I hear so many people, especially in the UK, where they're saying, oh yeah, I want to win the lottery. And I question them on it and I'd say, why do you want to win the lottery? Well, because then I'll have loads of money. And I'm like, yeah, and then what will you do with all of that money? And I feel people, they think with money, life will be fine. And I can tell you it's not. Yes, it helps. It's not a bad thing. But if we're relying on that to make us happy, we will always be unhappy. Okay. I know, and I have worked with some very, very successful people, as clients, and they come to me because they've had the success. They've done everything they set out to do. They have more money than they can imagine, yet they're sitting there and their soul is starved. So this is when they go, right, what's missing? I've done what I needed to do, but I'm not where I thought I would be. And we take them back and we realize that, they're not tapping into their creativity. Their CV might be amazing, yet their social life, their interactions, their connections, their relationships are bankrupt. It doesn't matter what they've got in the bank. So this is where we need to have a look at, what is it we want from our life and why do we want that? And so these are questions that are like, they're pretty hard. I mean, I got rushed into hospital again 2 weeks ago. This is like the third time I think in the last 6 weeks. Because my health hasn't been good again. But I know that there's a block in me that is causing this block. So I was talking and I was like, you know what, if this is my time, because like I say, I really felt it over the lunar eclipse. I felt it was in my 8th house, and I really felt, death was near. Obviously it was Hendrix. And I was like, is there anything that I haven't done or anything that I would regret? And it's like, no, I think the only thing I've never been successful in my life, every dream I've ever had, I've done. And now this is the problem. It's like, what is my dream now? I don't know. If I knew it, I could work towards it. So this is why I'm just leaving it up to spirit. And I feel the only thing within my life is, it's I feel having that, that relationship that is healthy and has longevity. Now I know I can have that. I have that with my friends. I have that with all of that. But that's the only thing that, has never really been successful. Yet every relationship I have had has been successful in teaching me what I needed to know about myself and what I want and what I don't want. So this is it. We never actually fail. We win or we lose. So another thing this Gemini moon is asking us to have a look at, and this is getting your own astrology chart up and looking at your North Node, okay? And asking yourself, are you working towards your North Node or are you staying in your South? Now, our South Node is what we're born knowing. It's what we've had many, many lifetimes of implementing. We've had many lives like that. So we know it. It's comfortable. We know our way around it. But again, it's comfort. So this is asking us to look at our North Node and see, are we actually doing things that will support us getting to our destiny? Is that where it is? Now, my North Node is in Capricorn, and Capricorn is, I'm here to achieve. I'm here to be recognized for what I do. Now, my South Node is in Cancer, so that is more about taking care of others. This is about, being there for others, being caring, being the heart, being all of this. And I've done that. I've done that for so long. But this actually, putting myself out there. I mean, these are the only videos I do. I don't advertise. I don't anything like that within my work. But what it's pushing me to do is saying, you need to be somewhere where you're recognized for your work. You're seen for what you do. Now, I know that, I'm very, very humbled by that. But it's almost taken that humility away and stand out and go, look, here I am, I'm here to be of service. And where can I do that best? Not just where I can serve others, but where I can be served back. So this is where this Capricorn moon comes in, because that will then, there's more security comes with it and things like that. So it's almost going from this feminine soft way into this kind of using my brain a little bit more. So this, I'm only using me as an excuse because, I don't know every single one of your north nodes or south nodes. So is this making sense what this Gemini moon is talking about? I'm going to pull a couple of cards first before I go on to the readings for the signs. But does anybody have any questions about this? Does anybody have? Hey, Sherry. And good night, Irene and Magic Me and Deborah. Yeah, so this, like I say, it's going to poke us a little bit, this Gemini, it's going to prod us. It's going to be like, oh, stop that. It could irritate us because it's asking us to look at ourselves. Now, the first card I've pulled there is Seven of Cups. Now, when we have sevens in tarot, sevens are always tests and challenges, I feel. But it's stuff that we already know. It's stuff we've done the work on. It's not new stuff. And this is saying to us, when we're looking at this card, it is saying, what is it we want? Do we want spiritual enlightenment? I've done a video on my Instagram, anybody that's on the other day, and I said, there is no elevator to spiritual enlightenment. We have to take the fucking stairs. We've got to do that. Spirit will meet us there, but we've got to go halfway in order to meet them. It's not just going to fall into our lap. And excuse me, I need a drink. I'm drinking soda there. I shouldn't. But it's not going to fall into our lap. So, a lot of this new age thing at the moment is very much about manifesting. Yeah, we just need to do a vision board and, and da-da-da, and then it all happens. That is absolute bullshit. It is such bad advice. Anybody that is saying that to you, it's no. You have to be in alignment for what you want, and you have to put the effort in. Start doing things that will support the life that you want. And then spirit can go, right, okay. So it's like my daughter's going on holiday. She was looking at new bikinis. She can't just sit here and go, oh yeah, I want a new bikini. It's not, nobody's going to knock at the door. But if she makes the effort and goes online and finds the one she wants and puts the order in, then it will be delivered. But it takes a little bit of effort on her part. So what this is saying with this Gemini moon, when I'm looking here, is it's asking us where our dreams or where our direction is still being guided by our conditioning. Okay? What is real to us now? Not what was real to our parents, not what was real to, our friends that we grew up with or whatever. What is real to us? Because we cannot stay in that womb forever. We can't. We've got to get out. We've got to grow. So this is asking us to make a list. Make a list of where you think you're going in your life, what you think you're striving to, okay? And then have a look and see how many of these ideas were actually given to you rather than you actually forming them yourself. because this is taking us back into the shadow of our past. Now, there is nothing wrong with shadow, okay? When we face our shadow stuff, this is when it ceases to have control over us. And again, this is going to be another vulnerable share, but you know, this is what I do. I'm transparent. So on the day that Hendrix passed, I spent the day before with him, with my daughter and her partner, and we knew it was time, and we took him to the vet on the Wednesday, not realizing that that would be it. And when he got there, you know, it was the healthy thing to do, and we lay with him, and I stroked his head, and I told the vet he'd gone before she knew, because I felt him go. And I went back to my place, and God, it's really, really hot today. This is the first time I've done this in probably about 13, 14 years. And God, I binged. I needed to be. These feelings were, it was horrible. There was something that I needed and I couldn't get it anywhere. You know, I was looking for anything. I couldn't find it in food. I couldn't find it in weed. I couldn't find it in anything, you know, but there was this horrible, and at the time I felt the shame that I felt for actually abusing my body in the way that at one time was a normal thing for me to do. The shame connected with that was harsh, yet I'd done it because I needed to feel something other than what I was feeling. But what I had to do in that moment was observe it without judgment and see that I was having this internal battle within myself of grief, of fear, of kind of, you know, wanting to hold on to something that had been a part of my life for so long. So when I had to sit with my shadow, I realized that it had something to teach me. That when I feel empty, I feel like I need to fill this void in some way. Whereas what I was taught in that moment is when I feel empty, or when I am empty, that just means that I can go out and I can fill that with other things again. Does that make sense? Rather than things that are going to be a quick fix. If I am empty, then that means it's time to go and find what will make me full again.